So ಹೆಂಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? So I think I have seen some of you before also. Some of you have heard me before also, or this is a fresh batch? First time, all of you? Okay. So my background, I would like to introduce myself or say a few things about myself, just to put it in perspective as to what kind of people come into civil services and with what kind of background they come into and how they can achieve things. Just to put things in perspective. Okay. Actually, I am from Dharwad. So it's a tier 2 city, not like Bangalore. And I have done my education till second PUC in Dharwad. I studied science in PUC, and then I got an engineering seat in RV College, Bangalore. I have done my engineering in computer science from Bangalore, RV College, and then straight away I wanted to write civil services. I have not joined any job, though the job was offered to me. I didn't join because during third or fourth year, I was very clear that I want to do civil services. I want to be a civil servant. So I started preparing at the fag end of my college education. Then I continued, and in the first two attempts, I cleared prelims, but I could not clear mains. But in the third attempt, that is in 2013, I cleared mains as well. I attended interview, and then I cleared it that time in 2013. My optional was Kannada literature, and subsequently, then I got IRS, and then subsequently again I appeared in 2014. Then also I attended the interview. I went till interview stage. I got a rank also, though not a better rank. Then again in 15, again I was busy in training, so I could not concentrate much. Again in 2016, I wrote again got a rank. Though I could not get IAS or IPS, so I settled with IRS. So again I wrote once more, and I again went till interview stage, though I could not get selected in the list this last time. So this is my background, and my family background is also very humble. My father was a farmer, so nothing like you should have a great legacy of bureaucrats or anything to crack the exam. This is my background. So for me, why civil services? This point must be troubling you also, as to why civil service, as to why not other career opportunities, why only civil service. So for that question, my answer is very simple. This civil service career offers you something more than a job security. Of course, the basic job security is there, which is well and good, because if you see situations like COVID-19, job security also becomes very important, because people lost their jobs during such a crucial time. It was a very bad experience. So from that perspective, job security is also very important. But other than that, the civil service career offers you much more than job security. One is, it's a very challenging and exciting career. At a very young age, you are given so much of responsibility, you are given so much exposure, that itself is very challenging. For example, if you become an IAS or IPS or IRS, for example, if you are a DM, you are handling important issues like the land, revenue, etc. And even if the prime minister of the country visits your district, you will be the one who will be with him always. So it is such an important post. Similarly, with the IPS, you will be in charge of law and order of a whole district. So that these are very challenging job opportunities. And similarly with the IRS, you will be posted in various important locations, like be it a airport or a seaport. For example, in our service in customs, you'll be posted at ports. You will be guarding the economic frontiers of the country. Or here you are implementing GST. you are preventing tax evasion. So it is something in a larger way or contributing to the society. So it's not only that what you are getting from the job, it gives you a larger purpose of life beyond the job security. That is why civil service career is much better than other job opportunities. And I would like to know from you also, some of you, to why you would want to pursue civil services. Anyone among you can please tell why civil services? Please go ahead, don't hesitate. I will not judge you. And also, of course, the glamour with the civil services. There is no hesitation. There should not be any hesitation in saying this. There is a certain prestige, there is a certain status attached with civil servants. And if you enjoy that, there is nothing, no harm in that. So, anyone would like to go ahead, tell me why you have chosen a career in you? Why do you want to become a civil service as civil servant? Please. Yes. Nice to hear that. So, what she wants to say is that you are at cutting edge. You are not just an implementer who is implementing everything that comes from the top. Aduno alla ನೀವು. But at the same time, you are not the political master who is deciding the policy of the country also as to what should be done. You are not that also, but you are at cutting edge. You are a mix of both. You are also deciding what should be done and how it should be done. For example, if you are somewhere in the district, if you are an IAS officer, for to increase the percentage of voting of your district, some funds will be given to you, and you will be asked to implement any programs which will increase the awareness. So now, even though the funds are limited, how to utilize it, it is left to you. It is left to you. Some people go for some street play, some people go for a comedy show, some people go for some promoting some film, or they make a film on whatever importance of voting, etc. etc. Whatever you want to do, you can do. But this initiative taking is there at this level, at civil servants level. So that is why it's one of the good opportunities. Anybody else? Please feel free to talk. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿ, ಏನ್ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿ, ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ಹಾ, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್, ಗುಡ್. But it's a good, it is an ideal situation, direct social service. But you have to be very much committed to that all along. Make sure that it motivates you long enough to be in the race, because when you think that I'm only doing it for others, to derive motivation from that goal is a little difficult. If you fail once, twice, then to derive motivation from the fact that I'm going to do it for others is a little difficult. There will also be some goal towards ourselves, what we want. That also has to be clear in your mind. I'm not saying that it should not be social service, but why do you want it? That also should be clear in your mind. Just go back today and try to figure out clearly as to why do you actually want it, because this becomes important, because this is not a very short term game. 2-3 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿ ಆಗುವಂಥದ್ದಲ್ಲ. 1 ವರ್ಷ ಅಂತೂ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಓದಬೇಕು. 1 ವರ್ಷ ಓದಬೇಕು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವರ್ಷ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಗೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ 2 ವರ್ಷ ಅಂತೂ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಮೋಟಿವೇಶನ್ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. Even if you start from now, if you take the 2024 exam, all of you want to attend 2024 exam. So ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ 2 ವರ್ಷ ಅಂತೂ ನಿಮಗೆ, you should be highly motivated for 2 years. So you should figure out why do you actually want to become civil servant, and it should be a reason which will motivate you enough, at least for 2 years. You should not let you go off the track. So that you please make sure. Okay. I hope everybody is aware about the pattern of the exam. Should I just give a brief? There will be two papers in the prelims. One is general studies and another is CSAT. CSAT will consist of mathematics, English, comprehension, and some maybe other questions also, logical reasoning, etc., reading comprehension, all those things. Whereas general studies will comprise of current affairs, history, polity, environment, etc., all these things. And in the mains, you will have one essay paper, two compulsory language papers. One will be English, another will be any Indian language you choose. And then your optional papers, two optional papers, and then 4 GS papers. GS 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 plus 2 optional papers and one essay paper. Indian language also, you please make sure which one you are comfortable with. ಕೆಲವು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಕನ್ನಡನೇ ಕಂಫರ್ಟಬಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕೆಲವು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಕನ್ನಡನೂ ಕಂಫರ್ಟಬಲ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. If you want, you can take Hindi or some other language, but make sure that you pass in that exam. Okay, don't neglect that also. So that is the mains part, and then the interview. So you are already aware that mains plus interview marks will give you the rank. Prelims, once you clear the prelims, it is of no use. ಆ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಸೇರಿಸಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ರ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ತೆಗಿತೀರೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆ. ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ತೆಗಿತೀರೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೇದು. ಅದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಸೇರಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ರ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಟಾಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಚೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಆಪ್ಷನಲ್. ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಆಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ chosen your optional already? No, it's the first day, so don't panic. Choose your optional carefully, but very as soon as possible, but very wisely. Okay, because if you see the proportionate of marks that is obtained by toppers, the highest proportion will be in their optional. For example, in GS, they get around 100, 110, 115 out of 250. Okay, so that is roughly around less than 50%, just less than 50%. But if you compare that with the marks they get in optional, 250 ಗೆ 150 ತೆಗಿತಾರೆ, 160 ತೆಗಿತಾರೆ ಅಥವಾ 140, it will be, the percentage wise it will be much higher than what they get in GS. So what I want to say is, in optional you have to be strong. Optional is not a paper where you manage. Optional ನೀವು ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು, ತುಂಬಾ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಆಪ್ಷನಲ್ ಒಂಥರ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ತರ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಅಷ್ಟು ನೀವು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಚೂಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಆಪ್ಷನಲ್ ವೈಸ್ಲಿ. ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಕೋರಿಂಗ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ತೀರಾ 3-4% ತೀರಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ನನ್ನ ಸಜೆಷನ್. ತೀರಾ ಆವರೇಜ್ score in that optional, if it is much less than average score in other optional, please try to avoid that optional unless you are very good at it. Like you are a gold medalist in that subject in your degree or something, avoid such subjects. As far as if you take any other subject, make sure that you have enough interest in that subject, and make sure that material is available, and make sure that you can read it whenever you want. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಓದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗಬಾರ್ದು, ಆತರ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಓದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಇನ್ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು ಸ್ಕೋರಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅಂತ ತಗೋಬೇಡಿ. ಈಗ ಕನ್ನಡ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಸ್ಕೋರಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಇದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ಕೆಲವು ಜನರಿಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ಕತೆ ಗೀತೆ ಓದೋಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ ದಟ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿಬಡಿ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್. ಬಟ್ ಕೆಲವು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತವ್ರು ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಕೆಲವು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಜಾಗ್ರಫಿ. ಕೆಲವು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಜೆನ್ಯೂನ್ಲಿ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ or any other, anthropology, sociology, any other subject, whichever you like, and just do a basic research about these subjects before you choose an option. And then I would like to touch upon some do's and don'ts for this exam. Do's is one of the main things that you have to do is buy a previous year's question paper book, or if you want to see it online, you can see it online. But that is a must. That is a must, and I cannot stress the importance of previous year's question paper any more than this, because you should almost, for the last 5 years, you should remember each and every question, because only when you know what kind of questions are being asked, you will be careful about what to read. Otherwise, you will read anything and everything. That is not required. For example, prelims only, up to, I think in the last 2-3 years, again they have started asking about sports and other things. But till 2021, they were not asking about sports. From 2011, I'm saying. Before 2011, they were asking. After 2011 to around 2021, they had stopped asking about sports. So we were ignoring sports happily. But if you don't know that they are not going to ask about sports, you will read sports also. You will remember some unwanted information in your brain. That is not required. Every day you are putting another 10-15 minutes extra on the sports page. That is not required. Since now they are asking, you can now at least put that time. At least you can give that time to sports. But you should always be clear. For example, if you look at science questions in GS, they are usually related with physics phenomena. But if you keep on reading chemistry, there is no point to it. There is no point to it. If you keep on reading chemical equations, etc., there is no point to it. So whenever people say read every NCERT book, please don't go on reading all the NCERT books. Read previous year's question paper. Whether you know the answer or not, you can see the answers for yourself later. But you just start reading questions, because anyway, these are the topics about which you know something. These are not those topics that completely out of the world. I don't know what it is. It's not like an IIT question paper. There will be questions about polity, questions about economy. There will be questions about prime minister, parliament, president, governor, etc. At least you know these words. Just start reading the question paper, so that you are very much in sync with UPSC. So that when you read something, you should be able to know whether UPSC can ask a question on this or not. That is how well versed you should be with your question paper. Or if you read something that is already asked, you should immediately remember that question, that this was asked in this year. You should be so perfect with your question paper. That is very, very important. Because, and apart from all this, there are sometimes questions also being repeated also. Questions verbatim, they are being repeated, or sometimes the concept is repeated. For example, you can see that they'll give some 5 countries, 4 or 5 countries names. Which of these countries do not have a sea border, or do not share a border with a particular country? Such questions they keep on asking. So that will let you know as to what you should focus on. For example, if they ask about Mediterranean Sea, which of the following countries do not share boundary with Mediterranean Sea? Okay, then you can do the same thing for Caspian Sea, Black Sea, etc., etc. For all the seas, for all the important seas, you can do this. You can frame a similar question and keep it in your mind. So it is very important to keep these things in mind. Or many times they ask about organizations, or they ask about reports. Which organization publishes this report? You can have a list of reports being published by various organizations. So reading previous year's question papers is very, very important. And it is also important to know on what questions you should not focus. Okay, reading previous year's question papers will also clarify to you on what questions you should not focus. Some questions are really very trivia based, or very complicated, which nobody would have answered. So there is no need to get 10 store such questions. They'll say that they'll ask some trivia fact about some animals, etc. For that, you need not go on searching for those answers. That is not the goal of UPSC. You ignore that question, because nobody else would have also answered that. So this is only a competitive exam in its literal sense. You are only competing with people who are next to you. There is no certificate that you are smart or you are dumb. If you are topped, it only means that you are smarter than all the other people who wrote the exam that year. That is the only inference of topping this exam. It doesn't tell you absolutely whether you are smart or dumb. Or even if you don't clear the exam, it only means that rest of the people who wrote the exam were slightly smarter than you. Maybe. So that is the only meaning of this exam. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೇನೋ ಓದ್ತಾ ಕೂತ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ಬಟ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಗೆ ನೀವೇನು ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ಆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಈಸಿನಾ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಏನು ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಓದಿ. ಸೊ ಟು ನೋ ವಾಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ಡ್. ಓಕೆ. ದೆನ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಗಾಗ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲಿಟಿಗಾಗ್ಲಿ, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ನಾವು ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಗಿವ್ ಯು ಅ ಬುಕ್ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ as to which book you should read for each subject. ಆ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ನ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ there also the same funda applies, because that source is read by everybody. That is why you should not leave that source, because if a question comes from that source, everybody will answer except you if you have not read that source. ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಇನ್ನೆಲ್ಲಿಂದನೋ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರ, ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಬುಕ್ ಇಂದ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರ, ಕೇಳಿ. ಯಾರು ಬರೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಲೆನೇ ಕೆಡ್ಸ್ಕೋಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಮೇನ್ ಫಂಡ. ದಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಬಿ ಇನ್ ಯೋರ್ ಮೈಂಡ್. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ನ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಪದೇ ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫಂಡಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್. NCERT ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಯುವರ್ ಫಂಡಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್, because sometimes even when you go to interview also, not only in prelims and mains, even when you go to interview, if you don't know some fact, it is okay. But if you don't know something very basic, it doesn't come across in a very good manner. So please focus on basic books, read them thoroughly. Okay. And there is a difference between prelims and mains that you should understand. For prelims you should read only what is necessary, because you need to only clear the prelims. You need not score very high marks in prelims. You are only supposed to clear the prelims. So only do as much is necessary for prelims. Prelims ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕೋ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಓದಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಶಕ್ತಿನೆಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಮೇನ್ಸಿಗೆ ಕಾಯ್ದಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Okay. For example, it is like this, to give you an analogy. Now there is a marathon race. Okay. To see who is going to run in marathon, they have another race before that marathon. It is a sprint or whatever. You have to run around 1.6 kilometers before running that marathon. But they say that only whoever runs within 7 minutes will only run the marathon. Okay. So ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಈ ಮೊದಲೇನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಮೊದಲು 1.6 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಅದು ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು 7 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಓಡೋಷ್ಟೇ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಿ. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ನಾನು 5 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ, 6 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡಕ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾರಥಾನ್ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಮೇನ್ಸ್. ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಇರೋದು ಮ್ಯಾರಥಾನ್ಗೆ. ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು 1.6 ನಾನು 5 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಫಾಲ್ ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಮ್ಯಾರಥಾನ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಶೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಅ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಬಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್. ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು 25 ಬುಕ್ ಓದ್ತಾ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಒಂದು ಏನೋ ಓದೋದು, ಒಂದು 4 ಮ್ಯಾಗಝಿನ್ ಓದೋದು, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ದಟ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಇನ್ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ simultaneously. You simultaneously start writing answer. Invest that energy in mains. Prelims ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕೋ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮಾಡಿ. You just have to cross the bar, because real exam is in mains. ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನೋ ಸರ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೋಗಿ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ರಿಗಿನ್ನ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂತ ಯೂಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ if it doesn't affect your mains performance, do it, but that is not how your energy works. It is simple process of optimization. You have limited memory, you have limited energy, you have limited time, but you have to take out as much as possible. So prelims ಗೆ ಓದುವಾಗ ಹುಷಾರು, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಏನೋ ಓದ್ಬೇಡಿ, ಹಂಗಂತ ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ಓಕೆ. Prelims is about doing what everybody else is doing and little bit extra. That is all. The little bit extra. And prelims is more about not committing silly mistakes rather than reading something extraordinary or doing something extraordinary. because there is nothing extraordinary to be done. There are only 4 options, you have to choose one of them. You cannot do anything extraordinary. So try to avoid mistakes. In prelims, this is the funda. Try to avoid mistakes. ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಓದಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇನ್ನೊಮ್ಮೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗಡಬಡಿ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಡಿ. ನೀವು ಏನೇನೋ ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ರಿವರ್ದು ಒರಿಜಿನಲ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಓದಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಒಂದು ಸತಿ ಓದಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದ್ 4 ರಿವರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ 1 ನಿಮಿಷ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ರೆಡ್ ದಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್, that question should be answered correctly by you. ಆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಇನ್ಯಾವುದೋ ಏನೇನೋ ಓದಕ್ಕೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಬಟ್ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಬೀಸ್ಟ್. ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ವರ್ಕ್ as much as possible. Try to be as perfect as possible without trying to attain perfection. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಇನ್ನೂ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಮಾಡಿ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡ್ರಾ ಡೈಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ವೇರಿಯಸ್ ಫ್ಯಾಷನ್, ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ. ಒಟ್ಟು ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಹೊಸ ತರ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ತೆಗೆಯಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಟಾಪರ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬರಿಬೇಕು, ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ಬರಿಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪಾಲಿಟಿಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ಬರಿಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಒಂಥರ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಸ್ಸೆಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. There is a huge challenge in mains, so don't spend all your energy on prelims. Keep, reserve time proportionately to mains. Mains ಗೆ proportionate time ಕೊಡಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಕೆಲಸ ಇದೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ. Your main challenge is mains. Don't get carried away by prelims success or failure. Okay, ಈಗ ಯಾರೋ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಏನೋ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ತೆಗಿತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಾನು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ತೆಗಿಬೇಕು. ನೋ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಗೋಲ್. ಯುವರ್ ಗೋಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೇನ್. ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಬಟ್ ಹಂಗಂತ ಯಾರು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಯು, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಅ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರೀಡ್ ಆನ್ ಅ ಡೈಲಿ ಬೇಸಿಸ್. ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಆಫ್ ಯು ರೀಡ್ ನೌ ಆನ್ ಅ ಡೈಲಿ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್? Start reading. Because I know that now there are notes by various coaching classes. Everybody has the notes, free online notes, everything. But newspaper is very helpful, much more than notes, because one, it improves your language. It improves your language, which is very helpful in essay writing and your interview. In both these things, it is very helpful. And in fact, even for your optional, that is one thing. And you can use these current affairs examples in your various answers, be it polity or economy or ethics or interview, everywhere, or essay, everywhere you can use this. And and another great advantage of reading newspaper daily, the news gets repeated in few weeks, in few months, it gets repeated. For example, now this G20 summit is there. Before G20 summit also, they will write an editorial about G20 as to what you can expect from this G20, where it is taking place, who is the chairman, etc., etc., what are the expectations, what is the background, etc. During the G20 also, there will be an editorial, there will be other columns, there will be other news. You will read all those. After G20 also, somebody will analyze and write an editorial. So you would have read about G20 around 10 times by this time. So, and since it's a very important event, even though you feel like you're wasting your time and you're reading it multiple times, because it is equally important. So even in prelims, if they try to ask you about the previous G20 and origin of G20, somewhere you would have read that in this newspaper. That will get you covered. And in mains also, this will become helpful. And what happens is, with the notes, there is a problem in mains, because ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ನು ಒಂದು ತಿಂಗಳು ಇರ್ತಾ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನೂ ಬಂದಿರಲ್ಲ, ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಿರಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ತಿಂಗಳದು ಹಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಅವಾಗ್ಲೂ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅಪ್ ಟು 15 days 20 days ಇರೋ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಇರೋವರೆಗೂ ನೀವು ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ 1-2 ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಯೂಶುವಲಿ. ಇಂದ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 1 month ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ 1 ಅಥವಾ 2 ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಮೇನ್ಸ್. ಅಲ್ಲೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಗಂತೂ ಐ ನೀಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸೇ ದ್ಯಾಟ್, ತುಂಬಾ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So reading newspaper is different than reading. Please bear it in your mind, and it is very, very important. Okay. And also handwriting, that is also very important. I mean, if it should be at least legible. Handwriting should be legible, and try to keep it as neat as possible, because as you have seen, there will be around 20-25 questions sometimes, or at least around 20 questions in mains. Nobody has patience to read your 20 answers with pain. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ನೋಡಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನಾದ್ರು ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಂಗಾದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರೇನಾದ್ರು ತೊಂದರೆ ತಗೊಳಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಸಂಬಳ. ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೆಂಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಏನಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರು ಅದೇ ತರ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅವ್ರು ಇನ್ನೆಲ್ಲಿಂದಾನೋ ಬರಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. ನೊಬೆಲ್ ಲಾರಿಯೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೂ ಕರ್ಸಲ್ವಾ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ಸ್ ಅವ್ರ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕರ್ಸಿರ್ತಾರ. ಸೊ that is all they're going to, that is the energy that they're going to spend on your paper. So don't make their job difficult. Don't make their job difficult. So at least ಈಗ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಲೆಜಿಬಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಲೆಜಿಬಲ್. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಇನಫ್ ಟೈಮ್, ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಡೈಲಿ 1 ಪೇಜ್ 2 ಪೇಜ್ ಬರೀರಿ, ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ, ಮೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಲೆಜಿಬಲ್ ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್. ಓಕೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಕಿ ಏರಿಯಾ ವೇರ್ seeing that many aspirants are failing is CSAT paper in prelims. How many of you are from engineering or some kind of mathematics background? All of rest of you? Really, so you are also have something related to mathematics. Okay, I thought arts or something. Okay, so I think mathematics part should not be a problem for you. According to me, should not be a problem. But still, some people find these aptitude questions difficult. So ಇವತ್ತೇ ಹೋಗಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ನೋಡಿ, at least 5 years. At least 5 years ಇವತ್ತೇ ಹೋಗಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ನೋಡಿ. Accordingly, you decide what you should read for that, and please be perfect in that. I don't want anybody to fail prelims because they didn't clear paper 2. You know that what kind of questions are going to be asked, and you know there are books available for that. And even then, you are given 1 year to practice that. Even then, if you're not practicing and going there and you're not getting 1/3 of the marks, then whose fault it is? No matter how difficult the paper is or how difficult it is compared to previous year, you are in the country's topmost job and you're saying that this paper was beyond our expectation. They are not here to cater to our expectation. They want the best candidate. CAT paper is much difficult, much tougher than this paper. What job they are getting? They are getting some, I mean, they are getting a good job, but it is limited to that MNC, that company. But you are going to handle the affairs of government of India or the state government. Then why should you expect any less? So please, today only you go back and see the CSAT paper, because there is a lot of controversy after every prelims that this time CSAT paper was very difficult. There is nothing more difficult. The same old topics are there: probability, speed, work, etc., etc. All those aptitude questions and some logical reasoning questions, blood relations, arrangements, etc., etc., and reading comprehension. So whatever you read, and based on that, there are some questions on that. This is where newspaper reading also becomes very, very important. Some people take too much time to read the paragraph itself. They say that this time it was very lengthy, etc., etc. And but this is where newspaper reading becomes helpful. If you have read newspaper every day, your reading will improve. Your speed will improve. So then you will not be complaining about CSAT paper on the day of it. I mean, I mean it as a word of encouragement. I don't want to see any of you complaining about paper 2. I want you to be strong competitors, strong candidates who will only discuss paper 1 after prelims. In fact, that too you should discuss for a day or two, check your answer keys, and then start preparing for mains, because that is the real marathon. If you are clearing the prelims, if you think that you will clear prelims, start preparation for the mains. If you think you don't clear prelims, if you are not going to clear prelims, prepare for the next year mains. Prelims again you can prepare after when there are 3.5 months. Start preparing for next year's mains. Again, don't keep on preparing for prelims, because now you have so much of time at your disposal. Start preparing for next year's mains, because there is a lot of work to be done for mains. Because there are some papers like history, geography, ethics, some part of polity. All these can be prepared at any time. There are no current affairs questions in those topics mostly. So if you are very well prepared in those topics, your mains preparation becomes lighter. You can focus more on your optional. In fact, your optional also. For example, many of the optionals, there is a static part. Like paper one, it's mostly static. Every year the same topics are asked. So you can prepare that if you are not clearing prelims. So this is very important. So please don't make CSAT a problem for yourself. You have enough time now. Get your doubts clarified. Refer the correct books and practice enough so that CSAT doesn't become a problem for you. It should not become a problem for you. And then please have a good routine. Don't be very inconsistent in your preparation. ಒಂದ್ ದಿವಸ 10 ಗಂಟೆ ಓದೋದು, ಮತ್ತೊಂದು 4 ದಿವಸ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಊರಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ವಾರ ಹೋಗೇ ಬಿಡೋದು, ಹಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಬಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪ್ರಿಪರೇಷನ್. That is very important, because this exam is also designed like that, and the career you are going to get after this also is designed like that. So you please be consistent in your preparation. Have a timetable. It need not be a very rigid timetable. Even hourly time ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಳೋದೇನು ಬೇಡ. ಈ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಓದ್ತೀನಿ, ಇದು ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಓದ್ತೀನಿ ಏನು ಬೇಡ. ಅದೊಂದು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂತ, ಅದನ್ನೇ 3-4 ವಾರ ಓದಿದ್ರೆ 2 ದಿವಸ ಓದ್ಬೇಕು ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಓದಿ, ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಕೀಪ್ ಆನ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಂಗ್. ಡೋಂಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಡ್ ಅವೇ. ಓಕೆ, ತುಂಬಾ ಬೇಜಾರಾದ್ರೆ ವಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಯಾವ್ದೊಂದು ಮೂವಿ ನೋಡೋದು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮಾಡೋದು, ಆ ಥರ ಮಾಡಿ. ಬಟ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ get you carried away from your studying. ಆ ಥರ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. And have a close group of friends, because the journey is long. You do need emotional support also. Please have a group of friends, but at the same time, please make sure that friends group doesn't become a problem for you. Okay, don't get into unnecessary debates, unnecessary emotional drama. ಆ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Please have a healthy group of friends who are also as motivated as you. ಇನ್ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬ ಒಂದ್ ದಿವಸ ಈಗ ಏನೋ ಓದೋಣ, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಓದೋಣ ಅಂತಾನೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇವತ್ತೊಂದ್ ದಿವಸ ಇರು, ನಾಳೆ ಒಂದ್ ದಿವಸ ಇರು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವಾರ ಹೋಗೋಣ, ಅವನಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ನೀವು ಒಂದ್ ವಾರ ಕಾಯೋದು, ಅಂಥವೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ನಾಳೆ ನಿಮಗ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ನಿಗೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ನಿಗೆ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಒಂದೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗ್ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ದು ಅವ್ನಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. ಹಂಗೆ ಯಾರ ಮೇಲೂ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಡಿ. ಇಲ್ಲ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನಾನು ಒಂದ್ ವಾರ ಊರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೀನಿ, ಊರಿಗೆ ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಓದೋಣ, ಅಷ್ಟೋದ್ರಿಗೂ ನೀನು ಮಜಾ ಮಾಡು, ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಂತವೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಡಿ. Have a good group of friends. Identify them very soon. Who is serious, who is not serious, and you act accordingly. Okay. And there are some don'ts also in this exam, which are much more important than do's, because it is very easy to get carried away this long journey. Okay. Don't take things casually. Any topic, any subject or any part of the preparation, don't take it casually. Some people think that I am very good at essay, my language is very good, I can write on any topic. Don't do that. There is a method for everything. Please follow that method, and please test that method before the real exam. If you think that you are really good at essay, write some essay test. If you are consistently getting good marks, okay, then maybe you can uh, keep less time for that essay preparation. But not without any proof. You can just don't claim that I'm good at this thing, so I'll not prepare that. And maybe some people from engineering or mathematics background might think that I'm very, very comfortable with CSAT, I will not practice or anything. Don't do such mistake, because you will have to pay a very heavy price for that. For 1 year, you will have to wait again before taking the exam. And even if you fail at interview stage, again you will have to start from square one. It is a very painful process. And in this and in all this, you will lose 1 year of seniority in your service. And at least as far as things stand now, whatever you do, you cannot become You cannot get your promotion before him, who has gotten into service 1 year before you. So at least that is the rules as it stands now. So don't take it casually. You're putting too much at stake. ಅದು ಬರೀ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ನನಗೆ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಬಂತು ಹಂಗಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲೋ ಡಿಗ್ರಿನಲ್ಲೋ ಈ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಬಂದ್ರು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಬಂದ್ರು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ, ಅದೇನು ಫೀಲ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಬಂದ್ರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಒನ್ನೇ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೂ ಮಚ್ ಅಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಕ್. ಸೊ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶುವಲಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಡೂ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್. ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಓದ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಟಿ ಇರಲಿ. ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಏನೋ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನೇ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓದಕ್ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡೋದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಯೂಸ್ಲೆಸ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಅನ್ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆತರ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಮೊದ್ಲೇ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರಬಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗ ಕನ್ಸಲ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಥವಾ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ನೋಡಿ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಮೋರ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್, ಅದನ್ನೇ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅದನ್ನೇ ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಓದಿ. ಡೋಂಟ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಟೈಮ್. ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್. ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್. ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಓದ್ಬೇಕು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ತಗೋಬೇಕು, ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಓದ್ಬೇಕು, ಆಪ್ಷನಲ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ತಗೋಬೇಕು, ಆಪ್ಷನಲ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಓದ್ತೀನಿ, GS ಯಾವಾಗ ಓದ್ತೀನಿ, ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೊಂದು ಟೈಮ್ ಲೈನ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಯಾವಾಗ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಯಾವಾಗ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸೀರೀಸ್ ತಗೊಂತೀನಿ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡೋಂಟ್ ವೇಟ್ ಟು ಕವರ್ ದ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್. ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೀವು ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ, ಓದಿದ್ರ, ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ತಗೊಂತ ಹೋಗಿ, ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ. Even if you read 4 chapters of polity also, you can write 4 answers, 4 mains answers. Try to do that. Don't wait for subject to be covered. You will never cover the UPSC syllabus. Nobody covers. Don't be under that impression. Syllabus cover ಮಾಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬರಿತೀನಿ, ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ಓಕೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಲೂಸ್ ಮೋಟಿವೇಶನ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ it's a very long process. You remember that hare and tortoise story, no? Earlier it used to, earlier of course we have all found it very silly, because who is so dumb that they will sleep in the middle of the race? Nobody. But what if that race is 1 year long? But what if it takes 1 year to complete the race? There is a chance that somebody will sleep off. That does happen in this preparation. ಅದು ನೀವು ಇವತ್ತು ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. Maybe after 1 year from now, 2 years from now, you will maybe remember these words. ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ನೇನು ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡೆ 1 ತಿಂಗಳು ಕಳೆದ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ. 3-4 months ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ಗೆ. ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ 1 ತಿಂಗಳು ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲೇ ಕಳೆದ್ರೆ 25% ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಗಾನ್. ಯು ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ by 25%. Then how will you catch up with other people? And there is nothing like absolute marks. ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ತರ 35 ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಮುಗೀತು ಅಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೇನ ಬೆಟರ್ ತೆಗಿಲೇಬೇಕು. ನೀವು 98 ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ 99 ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಯೂಸ್ಲೆಸ್, ಫೇಲ್ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಅರ್ಥ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ 34 ತೆಗೆದು ನೀವು 35 ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ನೀವೇ ಹೀರೋ. So when others are studying, you cannot afford to sit back. So that there is a danger of that happening in this exam. That's why I'm just forewarning you. I don't want to scare you away, but this is what happens. I warned you beforehand. So please don't fall into such trap. ಆಯ್ತು, 1 ದಿವಸ 2 ದಿವಸ 3 ದಿವಸ ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, get back to your study. One point of time at where you can actually relax is after mains. After mains ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಟೂ ಮಚ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಮೀನ್ಸ್. ಅವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅಂಥದ್ದೇನು ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಏನು ಇರಲ್ಲ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಗೆಟ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್, ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ವೆಲ್ ರೌಂಡೆಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್, ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಯೂಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಸಿಟ್ ಇನ್ ಫ್ರಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಬುಕ್ಸ್. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾದ್ರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹಾಬೀಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಪರ್ಸ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ, ಇನ್ನೇನು ಬೇರೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೈಮ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಫೋಕಸ್ಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ these are some of the points I wanted to tell you. Other than that, if you would like to know something, just let me know. I'll talk about that. Regarding my work experience, I had not worked before joining civil service. I didn't go for any job. So this was my first job. So as it was, I was very excited because this was my first job, first salary, and also the happiness of becoming a civil servant. So, and I have had a very good experience as a civil servant. We have around 1.5 years of training. Our training was at Faridabad near Delhi. 6 months in Faridabad and then 6 months in Hyderabad, and then 4 to 5 months of traveling around India to various parts. It is a very exciting training because especially in our service we have attachments with these various agencies, with Coast Guard, with BSF, with ITBP, etc., etc. Like for example, when we go to BSF, they actually take us to India-Pakistan border. You can actually see the poles or stones which are kept at the India-Pakistan border, and they also show us where do they take shelter when there is some shelling, etc., etc. And we get to interact with all the BSF people, their officers, and their experiences. It's very exciting because only then, I mean, of course we read it on paper, but going there and experiencing that actually it's the BSF which actually stands at the border, not the army, is a very is a different kind of wisdom that you go there and get it. And similarly with other agencies with attachments, and we travel to almost all the places in India. I have visited all the states in India except northeastern states. ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದಾಗಿತ್ತು, but in 2015 again I was slightly preparing for exam. We went to Kolkata for our attachment, but then we didn't visit northeastern states, but some of my friends did. So there are some of my batchmates who have visited each and every state of India. So that is one thing, and you will be accommodated in very good properties or hotels when you are undergoing your training. And as a part of our training, we also had weapons training for around 21 days. So you get to use weapons like AK-47, INSAS, etc., etc., pistol, all those weapons we got to use. That was also a very exciting part of our training. And then of course the traveling, all these things. Then of course the work part also. I was the assistant commissioner of Davangere. My first posting. It covered 3 districts: Davangere, Chitradurga, and Haveri. I was the only assistant commissioner of Central Excise and Service Tax for the 3 districts. That was also a very challenging job. So it is nice. For example, now in the present capacity, I'm uh, representing department in various cases of service tax and Central Excise and Custom. I get to argue against lawyers who are representing very big companies like Infosys, uh, Dell, etc., etc., and they have uh, huge experience in law and also in presenting the cases, etc. But whereas we get the file only one day before the case. I mean, that is all the effective time that we are going, but still, uh, maybe it's a testament to the process of UPSC that uh, we are matching up against them, even if we read it for a day or two, whereas they have kept the file with them for years and they updated their files, whatever judgments they get regarding this issue, all that they have done, but we can still give them a good fight. So that's a testament to UPSC process, I believe. So that is that. So apart from this, anything else you want to know? I'm here. One by one. Yes. Exam strategy. I didn't get you. Um, See, it varies depending upon your stage of the exam. At first thing that we used to do was reading the newspaper. Then start with some NCERT, whichever ones you are reading, and then have some time reserved for your optional, and then some time for optional, some time for GS, and some time for your question papers, to see the question papers. Okay, that is one part. And since there are so many subjects in GS, you can have two subjects in a day. You can read two subjects in a day. For example, you can read polity and then history and then optional. Like that we can do. And one thing that I used to follow was, if one subject is very heavy and factual oriented, then I used to choose another subject which is lighter on facts. For example, if you read history, it is too much based on facts. Then you will read something else which is very light, not very factual oriented. That is how you will deal with those things. Or in alternate fashion. For example, if I read history in the morning, then I'll come back to Kannada literature, which is not, of course, based on facts. You will read some stories, especially if it is your first attempt. You don't know the stories, you don't know the poem. You just read them for reading sake. Anyway, your time is also utilized, and you're not getting bored also. Then again, you switch back to something very factual or very hardcore, quality, economy, something like that. And during when I wrote my first attempt in 2011, then there was a shift in pattern. The kind of questions that were being asked were undergoing a huge change from factual to conceptual. So then, for example, economy. Earlier, they used to ask very only factual questions on economy, very dry factual questions. But from 2010, they started asking about concepts. What is inflation? What is deflation? Etc. Then we had a very good book we got from some other coaching institute, which had clarified concepts in a very lucid manner. But so when we started reading that, we used to read that for hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, because it was very lucid and there was so much to know. So we just started reading it without any time limit. So that is what happens in your first attempt mostly, because when you don't know and just keep on reading. But maybe for your second attempt, you know what is what, but you want to make it more efficient. For example, in your second attempt, or even you're writing for, when you're preparing for mains, you want to make it more efficient. You want to write answers. You just do your job doesn't end at just knowing the fact. You want to write the answer. So you will start then when you're writing, when you're preparing for mains, keep certain time fixed for answer writing, at least 1 hour. In 3 hours, you have to write 20 questions in mains. So in 1 hour, at least you should write 7 questions. So choose 7 questions from somewhere and write those 7 questions in that 1 hour every day. Something like that you can do. Or maybe when, if you are bored, or after mains, after one mains, you will have a lot of time. Then maybe you may have to prepare notes for your optional, some special notes that you could not do in your first attempt, that you can do. So it depends upon your stage of preparation. But you have to keep in mind that how much time you're allocating for what purpose. Maybe your optional needs more time than your GS paper. So you have to allocate more time for your optional, because that should be your strong field. Because people who are writing for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years are also competing against you as far as optional is concerned. Their optional is very strong. So you have to rise up to their level. This GS you can fight because it is changing every day. So you can catch up with them. But as far as optional is concerned, they are very strong in that. So you have to compete against them. So you have to allocate more time, especially on the first attempt. You have to allocate more time for your optional. No, your question is very important. Correct. Correct. So what you need to do is, it should be a mix of both. For example, you read the newspaper, and for example, if you don't understand some 3, 4, 5 terms, list them down, okay, and try to refer your material, or you can search online. You will get a brief meaning online, at least for that purpose. You'll understand what is what. At least it will make some sense to you. So that is how you can go about it. But for that reason, don't stop reading newspaper, because you sometimes the context itself makes the meaning clear. Okay, so don't stop reading the newspaper for that purpose. So if you're feeling that reading economy is getting difficult because I don't know some terms, finish your economy first in GS. Give more time to economy. Finish that one first. Polity and history can wait. Because polity anyway, you will understand certain things at least. What is parliament, president, governor, etc., etc. You'll understand. At least you are capable enough to know what is happening in the country, and you can follow the current affairs. But if economy is becoming such a big problem that you're not able to follow itself, then finish your GS economy first. But don't sacrifice reading newspaper on a daily basis. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಬಿಡಿ. ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, 2-2.5 ಗಂಟೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಬಿಡಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಯಾಕಾಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ವಾ? ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಪಕ್ಕ ಡಿಕ್ಷನರಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಒಂದು ಪಕ್ಕ ಡಿಕ್ಷನರಿ, ಓಕೆ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಟು ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಇರೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಬೆಟರ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಟು ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಇರೋದು. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ the meaning of words in English only, not again going back to Kannada, because it will again mess with your head. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗೋ ಏನೋ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಪಕ್ಕ ಡಿಕ್ಷನರಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇರಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು ನಿಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಯಾವ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಓದ್ಬೇಕು ಯಾವ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಓದ್ಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಓದ್ತಾ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ನೆಸೆಸರಿ ಅನ್ಸಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಟೈಮ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ certain practice, and that is where previous year question paper comes in. ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಿವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ನೋಡ್ತಿರೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನೋಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಇದು ರೆಲೆವೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆಯೋ ಇದು, ಅಥವಾ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಏನ್ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಈಗ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಗಾಯ್ತು ಹಿಂಗಾಯ್ತು ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರಂಗಿರಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕೀಪ್ ಆನ್ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪ್ರಿವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್, ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಟು ನೋ that can be used as an example in your ethics. So you'll only just make a note of that incident, that this example can be used in this ethics paper. So ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು ಅದನ್ನ, ಅದನ್ನೇನು ಫುಲ್ ಓದೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ? ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಏನೋ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕಂತ ಆರ್ಗನ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಜೀರೋ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮೈಸೂರಿಂದ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಆರ್ಗನ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ as an example in your ethics paper, decision making or whatever, emergency service etc. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ನೇನು ಇರಲ್ಲ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಹಂಗೆ ಅದು ಒಂದು. ಎನಿ ಅದರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಫೇಸಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್? ಅದು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ, ಏನ್ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಬಿಡಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ನೌ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವೈ ಟೇಕ್ ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಟೈಮ್. ಬರ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಾ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅವಾಗ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನೋ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಪಕ್ಷಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನೋ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಪೇಜ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಹಿಂದೂನಲ್ಲಿ, ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಎಂಡೇಂಜರ್ಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು 2 ಪೇಜ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲದನ್ನು ಓದ್ತಾ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂತೀವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಇವ್ರು ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು 4 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಎಂಡೇಂಜರ್ಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಓ ಇದರಿಂದಾನೇ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಓದ್ತಾ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂತೀರಾ. ಹಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಎಂಡೇಂಜರ್ಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಓದ್ತಾ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅದೇನಕ್ಕೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು, IFS ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೂ ಒಂದೇ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್, ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದೇ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದು ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಅದರಿಂದಾನೇ ತಗೋಬೇಕಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ನಿಗೆ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟಾರು ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು 30 ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರಬಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್, ಜಿಯಾಲಜಿ, ಜಾಗ್ರಫಿ ಎಕ್ಸೆಟ್ರಾ. ಸೊ ಡೋಂಟ್ ವರಿ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದೋಸ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಟೂ ಮಚ್. ಅದು IFS ಕಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಇರೋ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಓದಿ, ತುಂಬಾ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡೆಲ್ಲ ಓದ್ಬೇಕು. ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್, ಅದು ಇದು ಏನೋ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡ್ಸ್ಕೋಬಾರ್ದು. ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ 2 ದಿವಸ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಮಧ್ಯೆ 2 ದಿವಸ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾ ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನೆನಪಾಗ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ. ಅಷ್ಟು ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು, ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ನೋಡಿ ನೆನಪಾಗಷ್ಟು ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅದೇ ಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ ನಾನು, ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ತಲೆಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಟಿ ಇರ್ಲಿ. ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು, ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಡೇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಮದರ್ ಟಂಗ್ ಏನೋ ಆ ತರದ್ದು ಡೇ ಬೈ ಯುನೆಸ್ಕೋ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಯಾವ್ದು ಯುನಿಸೆಫ್ ಅಂತ ಏನೋ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ಡೇಟ್ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು, ಅದೇನೋ ಒಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಆ ಡೇಟ್ ಯಾವ್ದಾರು ಇರ್ಲಿ, But why will UNICEF celebrate that International Mother Tongue Day? It has nothing to do with children emergency fund anta eno barutte. Why will those people celebrate this? It will be done by UNESCO or some cultural related organization. So that is how you can say that that statement is wrong. You need not remember that date. ಆ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಇಂದಾನೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನೋ ಕೇಳಿ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಹಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಆತರ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ದರ್ ವಾಸ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಇನ್ 2011 or 12. The number of Supreme Court judges is decided by ಅಂತೇನೋ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್, ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್, ಅದು ಇದು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಅದೇನೋ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನೋ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಬಟ್ ದ ವೇ ಐ ಡಿರೈವ್ಡ್ ಅಟ್ ದಟ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ವಾಸ್, ಅದು Supreme Court, if you read the chapter, first they'll say that there were 10 judges, then it was increased to 20, now it is increased to 31 ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಏನೋ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ 1, 2 ಅಂತ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದು 1, 2 ಅಂತ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಹಂಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ನಂಗೆ ತೆಗೆದು ನೋಡೋದು ಒಂದು ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್. ಇದು ಎಷ್ಟನೇ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಬರ್ದಿರ್ತಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಂತಿದ್ವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೂ ಹಂಗೆ ತೆಗೆದು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ರು ಬೈ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ 31st ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಬೈ ಅಗೇನ್ 41st ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಬೈ ಅಗೇನ್ 52nd ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ವಿ. ಅವೇನ್ ನಂಗೆ ನೆನಪಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಂಬರ್. But when this question was asked, I remember that this was done through an amendment act. If it is done through an amendment act, it should be done by parliament and not by president. President will only pass an order, no? There is no amendment act required for that. So that is how you should try to eliminate and work your way through the answers in prelims. So ಅಷ್ಟು ಆತರ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡ್ಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಅಗತ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ನು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಈಗ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದೇ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ 2-3 ದಿವಸದಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಇರೋದನ್ನ ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ರಿವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ, ಮಾಡರ್ನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಯೂಶಲಿ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಗಿಕ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆಥರ್ಸ್ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ರಿವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಆ ತರದ್ದು ಫೋಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪಾಲಿಟಿ ಮೇನ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಂಡಮೆಂಟಲ್ ರೈಟ್ಸ್, DPSP, ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್, ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್, ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್, ಪಂಚಾಯತ್ ರಾಜ್, ಇದು ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 2-3 ಡೇಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಇರೋದೆಲ್ಲ, ತುಂಬಾ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದಿರೋದು ಏನು ಮಾಡಕ್. ಅದೇ ಹೇಳದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ತೊಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ ನಿಮಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. ಅದನ್ನ ತಲೆ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಟಿ ಇರ್ಲಿ. ಇನ್ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಏನೋ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ತಲೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ನಿಮ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಪಕ್ಕನೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು, ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಅವನೇನೋ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಬುಕ್ ಓದಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಅವನೇ ಬರೋದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ಸೊ ಹಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ತಗೋ. In the first prelims that I attended in 2011, I attempted only 50 questions out of 100. Out of those 50, but 43 were correct. It also depends on what is your accuracy. ಬೇರೆ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ I have attempted 80, 85, 90 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. But I had attempted only 50. And anyway, then there was paper 2. Paper 2 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಅವಾಗ ಕೌಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಹಿಡಿದ್ರದ್ದು ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿಸೋರು ಮೇನ್ಸ್ಗೆ. ಪೇಪರ್ 2 ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಐ ಡಿಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಎನಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್. ಆತರ ನಿಮ್ದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳೋರೇ ಅವರು. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ರಿವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಮೂವ್. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ 30 ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು ಅವರು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರು, ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲೇನೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳೇನೆ ಕರ್ಕೋಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ರಿವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಥವು ಇರ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ, ಇವು ಕ್ಯಾಸ್ಪಿಯನ್ ಸಿ, ಮೆಡಿಟರೇನಿಯನ್ ಸಿ, ಅದ್ರ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದು, ಇದ್ಯಾವ್ದು ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ರಿವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದೆಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ಲಿ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸಮ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ಲಿ ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್, ಐ ಬಿಲೀವ್. ಈ ಸರಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ರಿವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 2-3 ಡೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತವ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಎಲ್ರೂ ಬರ್ದು ನೀವು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬರೋಂಥದ್ದು ಆಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು, ಅಂತದನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 2-3 ಡೇಸ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕು. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ತಗೋಬಾರ್ದು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 1 ವರ್ಷ ಫುಲ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಗೀಸ್ಟ್ ಅವಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಂದು ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಫೇಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಯಾಕೆ ತಪ್ಪಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಿಪರೇಷನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 2-3 ಡೇಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಸರ್ ನನಗೆ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್, ಇದು ಪ್ರೊಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಆ ಪ್ರೊಬಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗಲೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಈಗಲೇ ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಬರೀಬೋದಪ್ಪ, ನಾನು ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ. 2014 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇನೂ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಅವಾಗಲೂ ರ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಗುರುದತ್ ಹೆಗಡೆ ಅಂತ, ಅವಾಗ ಒಂದು 25th ರ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಬಂತು, ಅವನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದ. ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣು 104 ಏನೋ ಬಂತು, ಅವನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದ. ಬಟ್ ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದೇನಂದ್ರೆ, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು, ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕನ್ನಡ. ನನ್ಗೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷು ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಕನ್ನಡನೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಕನ್ನಡಕ್ಕೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಬರೀತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ತಪ್ಪು. ಹಂಗೇನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡೋದಲ್ರು. ನಿಮಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಕಂಫರ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಅವಾಗ ಬರೀರಿ ಒಂದು. ಬಟ್ ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ದಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್. ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. ಯುವರ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಸೋ ಗುಡ್ ದಟ್ ಇವನ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ರೀಡ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆಯುವಾಗ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀತೀನಿ ಅನ್ನಂಗೆ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಡೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಆ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಪ್ಟ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ರೆಡಿಮೇಡ್ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. ಸೊ ಅದು ಮಾತ್ರ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಟಿ ಇರ್ಲಿ. ಅದು ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೈಟ್. ಎಸ್, ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಫಕ್ಕೀರೇಶ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಅವನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದಾನೆ 200 ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ರ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಂತ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದಾನೆ. essay writing, if you are specifically asking about essay writing skills, that is what happens in test series, no? That is why you opt for test series. They evaluate your answers and they give you feedback. This is missing, this is missing. You have to improve on this, you have to do it this, you have to do it this way. That is what happens in a test series. I think in many websites also, I think toppers answer scripts anta siguttalla, istond sigutte. You can see that. That will be one pointer. For example, if you don't mind, I'll just touch upon essay writing as to how I learned it or what. In the first 2 attempts, I got very ordinary marks in essay. Though I knew enough about the topic, my language, at least I believed that it was good enough, but I didn't get good marks in essay. Then I joined the essay writing class. I only wrote some 2-3 essays there, but it was very valuable guidance. Okay, so they told me that in essay you have to follow a very simple language, and please, there should be a very logical and easy flow between the points that you are going to make. Essay topic kotre, first topic bagge you have to write your points, whatever points you know, you have to make a rough work. At least, for example, you will take 1.5 hours to write one essay. At least 20 minutes to 30 minutes you should make only points. You should not write anything, you should make only points. Okay, and then for example, any essay topic you can give me. Last time when I wrote something about a hand that rocks the cradle knows how to rule the world, something like that. There was a topic. It was concerning a woman, a mother who knows how to rock the cradle knows how to rule the world or something. It was basically saying that the skills of motherhood are equally applicable when you are a administrator or a ruler, etc. So you will first you jot down your points. Okay, that what are the similarities, caretaking, being vigilant, being etc., all those points, whatever you want to make. And then you should make a very promising and different introduction. That is very important in essay. That is what I learned. It should be simple, but it should be very impactful introduction. Some people say that if you don't know anything, start with the definition, etc., etc. But I would say that try to be a little bit creative when you're introducing something. You can start from an anecdote. You can start from a story or a small poem or a quotation. For example, even, I mean, this I learned later, and by thinking about it, by thinking how I can make it better. For example, you are trying to write an anecdote at the starting of your essay. Okay, maybe you're writing about a teacher, okay, but try to make him more human. For example, you can say of what height he was, what the time of the day it was, one sunny afternoon, a teacher in a tier 2 city was walking down the road, something like that. You should start. It should give them a very personal picture in the first line itself. Simply, if you want to arrive at your topic, and since you say one day one teacher was writing something in the school, etc., it will not strike a chord. So that is how you should go about it. So there should be an impactful introduction, and then when you whatever points you have jotted down, when you go to introduce each of those points, there should be a connecting line. For example, you are writing about social whatever problems of corruption. Should not say firstly this is the problem, again secondly this is the problem, again third this is the problem. You should not write in a mechanical fashion. You should say, for example, whatever problem you think is the first problem of corruption, you should say that the the main problem or the basic problem with corruption, etc. You should use such strong words. And for the second problem, you can say that another facet of this problem in the social sphere or in the economic sphere. And then you can, in the third paragraph, you can say it not only affects quality and economy of a country, it also affects the society. It also affects the moral fabric. And then you go on writing how it affects the moral fabric. This is the difference between the two styles. One person writes first, second, third. Another person writes, he gives a connecting line and then he writes about that again, that topic. That will keep him engaged. Okay. So then you some solutions, etc. You whatever you want to give, you give your solution. And then at the end, it should always be declaratory. It should always end on a grand note. You should not again start writing about small steps in the conclusion. For example, if you are writing about uh, corruption, you should not again write that we should computerize everything, etc., etc. That is in the solutions part. When you are ending, it should be on a grand note. It should be like a speech. Okay. So that is, those are the some of the things that you should keep in mind for essay. So for similarly for other things also there are some do's and don'ts, etc., etc. So that is what you learn in a test series. For example, they say that for history questions, so in conclusion, you try to give a relevance to the present state of affairs. That is a good conclusion for history. And so in polity, you try to bring current affairs. You try to bring constitutional case laws. Okay, Puttuswamy, etc., etc. All those case laws are there regarding privacy, right to life, etc. Those case laws you try to bring, even when it is not directly related. So that is how you should improve your skills of answer writing. Of course, you have to factor in speed, time, everything while you are doing this. Anudeep Durishetty was my batchmate in IRS. Later he went on to secure rank 1. What he told me, the biggest change that he brought in his answer writing was allocating equal time to each answer. According to him, that was the biggest change that got him such results. Of course, he had practiced, he had done everything, he had studied everything. But he said that if you start taking 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds extra for your initial 10, 15 questions, that will affect your last 6, 7 questions. Don't do that. He said that whatever it might happen, you have calculated that you should take 7.5 minutes per question. You should finish it within 7.5 minutes. You should. So there is 1 year time, practice enough so that time doesn't become a problem. All these things you have to keep in mind. And maybe some diagram. Wherever there is a map, you can draw a map, a rough map, just to stand out from the crowd. So there are lot many such things, but I'm just giving you an overview. How to prepare for GS in Kannada. GS in Kannada. There are certain books available. Now I think even the standard books have been translated to Kannada. You can refer those books. But apart from that, reading one Kannada newspaper daily is a must for people who want to prepare GS in Kannada, because then you will come to know the corresponding words in Kannada and what are the diplomatic words used in Kannada. So all those things. So reading Kannada newspaper is a must. And science and tech can be a little challenging for Kannada medium students. But when things get too technical, you can just use the English words. That is also there. And the same drill applies there also. There also you have to read school textbook and see what are the words used in Kannada, etc. But one thing where it gets challenging is the writing speed. Kannada takes more time to read, more time to write for the same amount of content. In Kannada, you will take more time. So you have to do a lot of writing practice. That is one thing if you want to prepare GS in Kannada. But at the same time, you will have some advantages in essay and ethics. For example, you can write some vachana, or you can write some quotes in Kannada, etc. You can express yourself better. That is also there, but it will, of course, it will take more time, less uh, reading material. That is also there. So all these factors have to take into account. But I think writing is the main challenge as far as Kannada is. And if sometimes a very complicated question is asked, the right word in Kannada for that, then and there in the exam, that might become challenging sometimes. Sir, please answer for my huh? Economy optional. So no, I have not taken economy as an option, so I don't know how I can answer that. I think I made myself clear. Anything else? Nothing else you want to know about civil services, job, etc., etc. But one more thing I wanted to just tell you: don't think that once you clear the exams, life is a bed of roses. Don't be under that impression. I mean, of course, it will be comfortable. Your life will be comfortable, but it will still be challenging. That's what I want to say. It will still be challenging. You will still be expected to work hard. Okay, deliver results, etc. That is the whole point of having such a uh, lengthy exam with with so many papers and with such a long time. etc. So those qualities are tested here only. So, but it is equally exciting. That's all. Like equally challenging and exciting. So that is rewarding. So if there are no more questions. No, I haven't attended the foundation course because I wrote again in 14. After 13, I wrote again in 14. Then I joined our departmental training. But I've heard that it is a very good experience of 3 months in foundation course in Labas. That is a very good experience because since you also will be going there for the first time. But I've been to Labas now. The location itself is very beautiful. From the mess, you can see the clouds. It's at such a high altitude. And they do call various important personalities with whom you can interact. There is a lot of interaction going on there in that part of training. And there are a lot of creative things, festivals, all of these things they do in those 3 months. That is really beautiful. That is one of the high points of civil service training. Anything else? We'll take you leave then. Thank you.